kind of had to make my own path through life and make promises to myself. And transitioning, yeah, it's not easy and it's an ongoing process. I think people think it's going to be like overnight.
Boom, overnight.
No, yeah, look, I'm a gorgeous woman, but it doesn't happen like that.
Are you feeling the change at the moment? Not just with the trans part of the community, but are you feeling the change globally?
The trans revolution kind of only started 4 or 5 years ago, where people started to be more open and proud about who they are.
We've invited a number of people during this series that we consider that they're activists. I don't know if you consider yourself to be an activist.
No, I'm smirking because I don't, but
Yeah?
I think a lot of activists are like that, but I don't label myself as an activist.
Yeah.
I like to think of myself as a trans advocate. I like advocating for what I believe in. But I think, I don't know, activist kind of feels like the next step, and I've never really seen myself as being an activist.
We say queer people that do, and not just comment and hashtag. I've been watching your posts for a while on social media, and only recently I realized that you also have an organization.
Yeah.
So, but we'll talk about that in a minute.
Sure.
Tell me, what was the first moment that you felt truly connected with the community? And what was the moment that you felt the notion of pride?
I think when I first felt truly connected with the community wasn't probably until I moved to Melbourne. So I transitioned when I was 18, 19 in Sydney, and I used to hang around a lot of drag queens and used to go out on Oxford Street and do all that kind of stuff. But there wasn't really a massive trans community in Sydney, or if there was, they weren't very open about it, because I guess there's a lot of stigma attached to being trans, especially in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s. So it wasn't until I moved to Melbourne and started being more active in the community that I really started to feel more connected.
I've always thought that there was a big trans community in Sydney. So I guess it may be different when you are within the trans community?
Well, there is now, but there never used to be. I think the trans revolution kind of only started 4 or 5 years ago, where people started to be more open and proud about who they are. People like Laverne Cox, Orange is the New Black, a lot of activists, Munro Bergdorf in the UK. So it wasn't really until people started to be more open and proud about who they are that people started to stand up and once again be open and proud. Because when I first transitioned, I wasn't very open about my trans identity, and it wasn't until I moved to Melbourne that I started to, I guess, work in the community and be more active.
Okay, I love that, the trans revolution.
It is the trans revolution.
That's fantastic. Is that something everybody uses, or is this just something you came up with in the interview?
No, I'm sure some people use it. It's very much a real thing, because I guess the gay movement in the 80s and 90s of when HIV first kind of started really being quite progressive in the gay community. There was a bit of a revolution then for gay men and women, but the trans community has always kind of been a little bit left behind. And it's not until, I guess, recently, the last 5, 6, 7 years, that people have really started to take notice of the trans community. It's
remarkable that that has happened, yet the trans community was always there at the front.
They were.
So
yes.
What do you think was the reason for that? Because it doesn't make sense that trans people were always the first ones to riot and to go out there, yet are the last ones to be included.
Well, that's right. Well, Marsha P. Johnson was the first person to throw a brick through the Stonewall riots in 1969, and she was with Sylvia Rivera. And these were people that, they are trans women of colour, and they weren't really seen as being the forefront. If you ever see any old interviews with Sylvia Rivera, she's very much fighting for trans rights. And unfortunately, the trans community has been left behind along the way.
What was growing up like in Sydney?
Well, I actually grew up on the south coast
nice.
of New South Wales, so in a small town called Jervis Bay. It's very beautiful.
I've been there.
But
in that white sand beach.
Yeah, it's Hymes Beach.
Hymes Beach.
Hymes Beach, yeah. So I grew up down there. And for me, being myself and struggling with gender identity as a young trans person, I didn't even know I was a young trans person at the time, it was difficult. And I didn't even know what a trans person was until I moved to Sydney and was introduced to the drag scene and met some trans women in the community. And yeah, it wasn't until then. So it was a bit of a struggle. It was difficult for me, but I think seeing other people like myself and in the community was something that was good, but also bad at the same time, because I guess there's a dark side to every community, and I think for a lot of trans women, their struggles have made that difficult for them. So I kind of had to make my own path through life and make promises to myself. And transitioning, yeah, it's not easy, and it's an ongoing process. I think people think it's going to be like overnight.
Like boom, overnight.
No, yeah, look, I'm a gorgeous woman, but it doesn't happen like that.
The dark parts of the community come up in conversations more often than we'd like them to. Sometimes we don't talk about them in interviews, we talk about them behind closed doors. You want to go there?
Well, you could tell how I skimmed over it a little bit. I guess because it's a little bit taboo, and I think when it comes to, I can't speak for everybody, but I know that for some trans women in the community, they have to do survival sex work. There's often some issues with drugs. So I think those kinds of things can be really challenging for people. And when I talk about survival sex work, it's because they're not given opportunities anywhere else, and they need to make money and they need to survive, and that's why it's seen as survival sex work.
Sex work is work.
Of course.
But in this case, you're forced to do it because you can't get another job anywhere else. How does one escape that?
I guess with people giving people opportunities and chances. I mean, not all people that are trans, that are sex workers, are forced to do it. But for some people, they have no other choice. And so I think they need to be given opportunities, and the only way we can do that is by, fighting against discrimination and prejudice towards trans people.
Was it easy to come out to your parents?
No, no, it wasn't.
Is it easy now? Is it still difficult?
My parents are great. So my mum's like my biggest fan, and my dad's coming around. Dads are hard.
Oh, yeah.
Dads are hard, especially when, there once was son wants to be a woman. And I think that's a difficult thing. But yeah, my dad has come around as well. What's
the most beautiful moment in the coming out part? Obviously, there were difficult ones. There were easier moments. Do you want to share a nice moment of your coming out journey?
I think two kind of things that stick straight to the front of my mind is one, I've got a gay brother. So having him and traveling this journey together has been really beautiful. And we have a better understanding of each other than I think, not all siblings have. And so we've traveled that journey together. And I think the other part would be when I had my gender affirmation surgery in the UK. For me, that helped me to feel complete as a woman.
Was there something that your parents said at any point that you made you feel, okay, new chapter, we've gone a long way, this is really good?
Yeah, I think my mum's like fully there. My dad's still got a bit of way to go even after all these years. But with my mum, I think her just calling me Rebecca, calling me she, her, doing all those things, calling me her daughter, and that for me, that's a very unique thing, and it's very beautiful. I feel very blessed to have that. Yeah. With my dad, he's not quite there yet, but I had to live at home for a while, and my dad was like washing my clothes and hanging my bras out on the line. And even though he's not fully accepting yet, for the fact he's doing that, he does have some acceptance.
He's doing housework, he's a good dad.
I know, he's washing my bras for me, so thanks, Dad.
I have to say that I saw on Mother's Day that you posted your mum's picture, and you look just like her.
I do, yeah. So I'm pretty much identical to my mum when she was my age. Make you feel
proud. Are you feeling the change at the moment? Not just with the trans part of the community, but are you feeling the change globally?
Yeah, it is changing. I think with even with everything that's happening in America right now, I think people don't see, the discrimination within communities. A lot of Black trans women of colour, they get discriminated against within their own community, and there are really high statistic of rates of murder towards Black trans women. So therefore, it's really important that we bring everyone with us.
Tell me a little bit about your organization and how the idea came about, and what's your role in it.
Trans Sisters United started approximately 18 months ago. It was myself and two other trans women, Sasha and Catalina, that started the organisation together. And over time it's progressed and changed, and we wanted to do stuff within the community. So our main kind of goal was to support other trans women within the community, and our main focus was on people from minority groups and people that were marginalised. And one of our first projects was working with the Sister Girls in the Tiwi Islands. So we self-funded that. We raised money for that ourselves, and we went up there and we did a project with them over 4 or 5 days. And yeah, it was really great. It's really nice to be able to connect with other members of the trans community.
What's your next project? Are you working on something at the moment? I think I read that one of your projects was stopped because of COVID.
Yes, that's correct. So Trans Issues United worked alongside an activist here in Melbourne, Miss Catalina, and we were doing the first Trans Pride March here in Melbourne. So it was meant to happen in March, but that didn't progress because of COVID. But Miss Catalina, who is the founder of Trans Pride March, and she contacted us to do that with her. She is planning to do that for next year, which we'll also be supporting to do.
So what is the Trans Pride March? Is it a separate march than the full Pride March, or what is that separate thing? Yeah.
Well, yeah, there's lots of different Pride marches around the world, but it's only been kind of recently that there's been actual Trans Pride marches. And I think the point of doing it is because we want to raise awareness for the trans community and show that we are beautiful and that we are unique and different. And it is different from the, I guess, Mardi Gras and Midsummer Pride marches and those sorts of things, but that's intentional. It's intentional because we need to have our voices heard and we need awareness.
What would make your organization's life easier?
Money. Yeah, so people supporting us. I think there's not enough people that are willing to support the smaller organizations. They tend to go for big names, and I think when new organizations are starting out, it's really good to get behind those, but I guess people are a little bit wary if they don't have any historical things that they've done. That's why with our first event, we raised that money ourselves, because it was really hard to get money when you haven't done something like that before. So yeah, if people want to support us, it's a really great thing.
Are you getting any support from government, or not yet?
Not yet.
Not yet?
Not yet.
Yeah.
I'll just smile and say not yet.
Not yet.
Be diplomatic about it.
Great. That means you're getting something coming up.
I think another really good thing to be in support of Trans Issues United would be collaborations. So collaborations with organisations that might be a little bit more established than us, that have some ideas that they might be able to run with us. And I think, yeah, it's important to hear trans voices. So if people want to collaborate with us, that'd be really great.
To make you feel proud.
If you had a magic wand and you could change something, one thing, between this interview and next year's Pride, small or big, it could be whatever, it could be a small wish or it could be like world peace, what would that be?
Oh, I guess it would be equality for everybody. We're not there yet, and I think the world needs equality right now.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Happy Pride.
Happy Pride.
I hope that comes around fully.
Oh, he will.
And maybe next year we can have the whole family here.
Yes, well, thank you so much for having me. It's been great.
Take care.